Hi, welcome back. And if you're stopping by for the first time, glad to have you. I'm Kim, and today we're going to mix it up. I'm not going to do a styling video. We're not going to talk about sustainable fashion. We are going to talk about 5 healthy habits that have really changed my life for the better. I want to do this today because when I started this channel, I really did it with the intention of also sprinkling in life lessons that I've learned across my journey as a 55-year-old woman. Baby girl's got some life experience in hopes that it might help someone else out there. And so today we're going to talk about these habits, mainly because there's so much information out there, podcasts, videos, self-help books, all of these things, telling you should do this to live your best life. Don't do these things. This is bad for you. This is good for you. And it just can be so overwhelming. So these are 5 things that I, do in my daily, weekly life that have really changed things for me. They've changed the game, and they are things that I plan on keeping with me for the long haul. So with that being said, let's jump into habit number 1. Habit number 1, I have really reduced my scrolling time on my phone. I have slowed my scroll. You see what I did there? So yeah, I am a doom scroller, and I'm sure some of you are as well. Like, we go down a rabbit hole and, we start seeing all these terrible things that are going on in the world, and it'll keep me up at night, and I have to be careful about that. So I really am mindful now about how much news and things like that I consume, and I definitely don't consume it on social media. And so I will leave my phone on the charger in the morning. So I get up and I just leave my phone in the bedroom. And then I head into the kitchen, I make my coffee, that's a whole little ritual. And then I head to the sofa and I hang out with my animals. I have 2 dogs and a cat, and they love snuggles, and I love to give snuggles. So we're all on the couch, I'm drinking my hot beverage, and it's just very relaxing to me, and it sets the tone for the day. So yeah, I stay away from my phone for like the first hour, hour and a half that I'm awake. After that, it's not really an issue for me because I'm busy. I'm, starting my day. I am working on videos. I'm working on my vintage clothing business. So the times that really get me are first thing in the mornings and in the evening. In the evening. So I have kind of set some boundaries in place for that as well. And I'll talk more about that later in the video. But basically, I stop scrolling at least an hour before I get in the bed. So those are some things that I do to try to minimize my scrolling online, and it has really been so good for your girl's mental health. So I suggest, if you haven't already, that you give it a try. Habit number 2, move your body. Move it or lose it, my friends. Whenever you have the opportunity, whenever you can do it, get a little movement in. You can be at the gym on the elliptical, lifting weights. You can be on the treadmill. You can be outside taking a walk in the sunshine, which is what I'm doing today, because honestly, for the last 2 weeks, we've all been kind of stuck in the house because it's been unseasonably cold here, and we were part of that crazy winter storm. And so literally, like, for 10 days, we've been covered in ice and snow, and it's just been too slick and too cold to get out and take a walk. I was just afraid to bust my ass. But, I wanted to share a little true story with you that really helped to drive home to me the importance of moving your body. So probably some of you, or a lot of you watching, have had to care for a parent. And if you have, you know how hard that is. But I was the caregiver for my father, for the last 3 years of his life. And he passed away about a year ago. But he had lived a really kind of sedentary lifestyle. He was a truck driver for all of his adult life. And when he retired, he just did a lot more of the same, just, kind of sitting around a lot. And anyway, when he got older, he just didn't have a lot of strength. So during the last, 2 years of his life, he really lost a lot of his mobility and had to start using a walker. And anyway, it was just hard to watch. And it was also a really big wake-up call to me, because at the time I was not taking care of myself in the way that I should have been. I spent the last year just really trying to get back to a place that feels healthy for me, and which has also included, working with a personal trainer. And, I've tried to just improve a lot of my daily habits. And
But yeah, I mean, and on the days where you can't get outside, or frankly, you just don't feel like getting outside, you can do other things. Like, so one little, we'll call it a hack that I did about a year ago is I bought a walking pad. It was like 150 bucks. I didn't put it under a desk. I put it in my living room where our only TV in the house is. And so in order for me to, I just kind of told myself, like, if you want to watch, this favorite show, or you want to watch these YouTube videos, you have to be on your walking pad to do it. You have to be getting steps in. And that was just a way to trick myself, to make something, attach something really enjoyable as like a reward for the activity. And, I learned that in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, which if you haven't read that, it is really great. But, he talks a lot about taking all the obstacles out of the way, making it as easy as possible for yourself to do the thing. So you really just are left with no excuses. And, I easily, when I'm doing that, usually in the mornings, I get about 3,000 to 3,500 steps just for like 30 minutes of being on that walking pad. And that sets me up for success for the rest of the day. And before, we move on to number three, I think it is important for me to clarify, when I was talking about my dad, sometimes we can do all the right things. There are plenty of people that, get cancer and other things that have done all the right things their whole life. They've eaten healthy, they've worked out, they've moved their body. There are some things that are just, out of our control. But, I guess what I was trying to drive home is the more we can take care of, our body now, it's going to set us up for being able to combat those things if they ever do come our way. We're just going to have a better chance of fighting those things. And what I saw with my dad was that, he just had lived a very unhealthy lifestyle, and he had, he really just didn't have a chance. So yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. Healthy habit number 3, become a meal prepper. Yes, that's right, my friends. I said it, and so have hundreds of other people on the internet, but it is true. If you have your food prepped and ready to go in your refrigerator, you are less likely to grab something that's just not a good choice. So, as someone like myself who does not like to cook, I've never enjoyed it. It has to be easy and it has to be quick. So, what I like to do is kind of make a little event out of it. I will get all my ingredients out. I'll put on some music and maybe have a glass of wine or make myself a coffee, depending on what time of the day it is. And I'll just cook everything up, like batch cook. Sometimes I take the extra time and I chop up some veggies and roast them in the oven. Or if I'm, more pressed for time, I will default to things that are already pre-packaged, frozen, like these Trader Joe fajita veggies, these lentils that are pre-cooked and delicious from Trader Joe's. I also just make sure I have a decent amount of protein already pre-cooked in the fridge. So, for example, today I'm going to make up this entire bag of shrimp from Costco. I'm going to just, saute it up in a pan and then stick it in the fridge, and I'll have it all week long to mix and match with other ingredients and just make delicious meals. And basically what I mean by that is throw a bunch of stuff in a bowl and put some sauce in it and call it good. I just, like I said, it has to be easy and simple, but it's just something that I never regret when I take the time to do it. And I just always feel better about my week. So meal prep, babies, just do it.
Healthy habit number 4. And, honestly, these aren't really in the order of importance, but I should have stuck this one at number 1 because it has really been the biggest game changer for me over the past few years, for sure. And that is strength training, baby. We got to get in the gym. We got to dust the dust off our home gyms, and we've got to start lifting heavy. We want to build these muscles. We want to be strong. We want to be ready for our 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. And we want to be able to do basic things that we take for granted right now, like, I don't know, like getting on and off the toilet without assistance. These things get harder to do as we get older. And if we don't have the strength and mobility to support ourselves, we're going to be in deep doo-doo. So with that being said, if you can afford it, I would highly recommend hiring a trainer, especially if you're new to strength training, so they can help guide you and get you on the right path for your goals. I did that, I've done it multiple times over the years. And this past year I did it because I had some, pretty big goals that I wanted to reach after my dad died because I had kind of just really neglected my health and fitness. So, but yeah, and if you can't, if that's not in your budget at this time, you can download an app. There's so many out there, and they'll have videos that show you how to do every exercise. And, that way you can really focus on getting the form right. My husband does that. He works out in our home gym here, and he just uses an app, and he really loves it. Let's get out there. Let's get pumping. Let's get going. You will not regret it.
Healthy habit number 5. I am really trying to prioritize my sleep. Now, let me just preface this by saying your girl is a self-proclaimed night owl. I always have been. I just like to stay up late. Everything that's fun to do, like binge watch shows or get on YouTube or scroll, I love to do those things between like 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. for some reason. But I just can't do it anymore. I really feel the effects the next day if I don't get enough sleep. So yeah, gone are the days. I'm sure some of you can relate, especially my Gen X watchers. Like we'd go out in our 20s with our girlfriends, we'd go clubbing, and we wouldn't even leave the house to go out until 10 p.m. We'd close down the club, we'd go have a greasy breakfast, and then I would go home, jump in the shower, and then 2 hours later, I would have to be at my day job on Saturday morning at 10, and then that night I'd go out and do it again. I can't even imagine that now. I probably wouldn't be able to get out of bed the next day. So I love those days. I'm glad I experienced them. But these days, your girl loves to get that sleep when she can. So I've had to put some little micro habits in place to help me because, night owl. So I will do my very best to disconnect from all the things at least an hour before I go to sleep. So no phone, no TV, no computer. I put my phone on my charger and it stays there until the next day after I've already been up for about an hour and a half, as you saw in tip number 1. And then, some nights I might make myself a little tea. My husband is European and he loves the tea at night, and he's kind of gotten me into it as well. So I'll make a little chamomile hot tea or a little ginger tea to just kind of help me relax. And then when I get in the bed, usually around 10, I can't go right to sleep. So I love to either read on my Kindle for a little bit, but really I love to listen to audiobooks because it just feels like someone's telling me a bedtime story, and I love that. So these are a few things that I've put in place to help me with my sleep. It's when our body gets to restore, repair. Sleep is so important. When we get that good 7-8 hours of sleep at night, we wake up the next day, we feel so refreshed. I have no more brain fog. I'm able to focus on all my tasks, and I just show up better in the world for myself and for everybody else.
All right, to recap, we have habit number 1, slow your scrolling. Reduce the scroll time on your phone. Habit number 2, get out and move your body. Go for a walk, do a little dancing, anything to get, the blood pumping. Habit number 3, become a meal prepper. It's going to be your best friend, I promise. Habit number 4, build those muscles, baby. We have to lift heavy And number 5, prioritize the sleep. Sleep is where all the magic happens, all the, restoring, the reset for our mind and our body. It's so important. I hope you found these habits helpful, and I hope maybe you'll try 1 or 2 and, let me know how it goes. And in the meantime, if you want to learn a little bit more about me and my journey and why I started this YouTube channel, you can check out this video right here. All right, bye.